Hello, my name is Marat. I'm a PhD student in medicinal chemistry, and on this channel we're talking about stocks. Today I would like to discuss Canadian Solar, as they will have earnings call later this week. Since Canadian Solar is obviously a solar energy company, I would like to briefly discuss future of solar energy from my perspective. Before we start talking about Canadian Solar, I would like to show you one slide from Annual Energy Outlook 2021. According to this report, US electricity generation from renewable sources is currently 21%, and it's supposed to double by 2050. At the same time, solar accounts for 16% of whole renewable sector, but by 2050, it will projected to be at around 47%. So meanwhile renewable energy generation will double, solar energy generation will triple at least. And I believe that this percent could be even higher. So without going too deep into details, just from this single slide you can see that solar electricity is the future. And you have to take into account that solar penetration in the US is relatively high compared to the rest of the world. So while in the US it will triple in the next 30 years, in some countries, it will 10x. So let's start talking about Canadian Solar with looking at their balance sheet. First of all, we want to have a look at current assets, and as you can see, it's 3.9 billions, while current liabilities at 3.1 billions. This is definitely a positive sign for companies that growing that fast, that their current assets are higher than liabilities. So I'm happy with this. And then if we look at the stockholder equity, as you can see, it's sitting at around 1.5 billions. And if you're going back to the main page, as you can see that market cap is 2.6 billions. So it means that price to book value is less than 2. And if you compare this to the industry average for 10 ETF, which is solar ETF, you can see that average price to book ratio is 2 across this ETF. So if Canadian Solar has price to book ratio less than 2, it means that it's better deal than average. This is latest investor presentation from Canadian Solar website, and I would like to start at page 11, where they're talking about their business model. As you can see, that business model include two main components, modules and system solutions, which is designated to manufacturing of solar modules and what is very important, energy storage solutions. So they're not only producing solar panels, but they're producing batteries as well to store this solar electricity, which is very important for our future. And the second part is energy business. In energy business, they actually install the solar panels and storage into power plants. And as you can see that this business is quite successful in terms of that they were able to deploy it in 20 plus countries. I'm showing you this slide just to underline that Canadian Solar is not just about US or Canada, it's a truly international company which is present around the globe. As you can see that they're present in Europe, in Asia, in Australia, Africa, South America, and their international presence is solidified by multiple factories. As you can see that they have production sites at Canada, in Brazil, and in multiple places in Asia, including China, Vietnam, and Thailand. This slide is also very important because it's showing us that Canadian Solar is top-tier bankable solar modules brand, which means that banks are willing to give credit for Canadian Solar projects. And as you can see that here Canadian Solar has competitive advantage over big names such SunPower or First Solar. As well on this slide, as you can see that they project growth to increase from 30% historically to 65% in 2021. So, and this definitely will be reflected in the share price. So now it's not too late to buy while they're not priced in for this spike in the shipments. And if you're doubtful should you invest or not, you can look at these projections and it may help you with your decision. On this slide, I just want to mention briefly that they focused on premium rooftop direct sales in the first place. And as you can see that order fulfillment priority for this category of sales is high. And then if you're going down, it's medium and low for other type of sales. And this allows them to maintain higher gross margin compared to competitors. On this slide, they once again underline that they're an international company. And as you can see that they have many orders from different countries. And if you combine backlog and pipeline, it will be 15 gigawatts. And if we go back few slides before, that their projection for 2021 is 18 to 20 gigawatts. So if they already have 15 gigawatts in the backlog and pipeline, it means that they almost have orders to fulfill their expectation for 2021. And me as an investor, I'm very happy about this. And this is reports from third quarter of 2020, so I'm not going to be surprised if they will release new data this week which support even more backlogs and pipeline. And of course they unable to resist not to mention that solar energy is the cheapest source of energy as of right now. As you can see, that average price for solar generated electricity is around 4 cents per kilowatt, while for coal power plant it's around 5 cents. And it doesn't make any sense to build new coal-fired plants because it's just more expensive. And if it used to be economically viable, and that was the primary reason why everyone was saying that no, we are not switching to solar just because it doesn't make sense, it's too expensive. Right now it's not the case. They also specify that a lot of coal-fired power plants will retire soon, and they will be of course substituted by something that makes economical sense. And this is definitely not new coal plants, but solar power plants. And it's just huge opportunity for us as investors. And of course they're bringing up again that solar accounts for only 3% of global energy right now, and it's expected to grow to about 10% in 2030 and more than 20% in 2050. So again, remember I showed you a chart about US, and US has relatively high penetration of solar energy right now with 16%, and the rest of the world is sitting just around 3%. So the potential is huge. In the next 10 years, it will triple. And this is great for companies like Canadian Solar because they're already big on the market, they're bankable, they're recognizable, and they're present in multiple countries. This is the most important slide by far, in my opinion, from this whole investor presentation. Because what I would like to point out here is not shipment growth. We've seen this before on the previous slide. But I would like to underline market consolidation. As you can see that market share by top 5 manufacturers in 2013 was just 22%. And over time, it's increased to 65 in 2020 and it's projected to reach 85% in this year. So what it means for us investors in Canadian Solar, that it's not just market share will increase, but also since this whole industry is increasing as well, it will be double profit for us because the market share increasing and amount of shipment increasing just naturally because it's more demand and less competitors as well. So it's a good time to be invested into big players in solar market because smaller companies being just pushed out of the business. When we're talking about consolidation of the market, it's so important to keep in mind that bankability of Canadian Solar is 100%, which means that banks are willing to give money for projects that involve Canadian solar panels. And it's so huge because with every year more and more big solar plants will occur around the world, especially in countries like USA or Australia with plenty of sun. And when I was talking about big projects that they being bankable, so this is what I meant. As you can see, they have plentitude of successful projects on their website. And as you can see, this one is 100 megawatts, 150 megawatts, and it's placed in China, some of them placed in Australia, again China. So, and this list is actually quite huge. I will leave a link in the description that you can have a look for yourself. The last but not the least, I would like to talk about the CEO of Canadian Solar. And what I like about this guy, that he got his PhD degree in engineering, in material science. And also he done his undergrad back in China, so he definitely has some good relationships with Chinese guys, and they are huge in this solar energy business. So if he can maintain these business connections in China, it's definitely beneficial for a company in general. And I really like that he's an engineer and CEO, and he has been in this place for 20 years, and there is no plan for him to retire. Overall, I believe that this is a great opportunity if you want to invest into renewable sector, and especially in solar, because they still trading at a discount compared to other companies, because their price to earning ratio is just 13, and this is after this huge run, but it's still undervalued in my opinion. With this huge growth ahead and consolidation of market for just 5 biggest players taking 85% of the whole market, I believe that Canadian Solar will deliver gains for years ahead. Also, if we're looking at the price prediction from Analysts, the average price is $55 and it can go as high as $71 according to some analysts, and this is compared to $44 what it's trading right now. I believe it's reasonable price tag because I don't expect it to be an explosive growth, but it definitely will be a steady gainer for the years and years ahead. And as always, remember that this is not financial advice. I'm just sharing my opinion with you, and you have to do your own due diligence before you invest your money into a company. I might be wrong, I might be right, but you have to make your own choice. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.